So now we're recording. All right, I'm going to play around with this again and see if I can get the headphones to work. Eric, are you in Hawaii?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Let's see what happens now.
Oh, yeah.
Speak up again, Eric, would you? I think you're one of the two callers.
I'm also on Jeff in California.
I'm sorry.
Did you see that, Rick?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Who are we talking to?
This is Jeff. I'm new.
Oh, hi,
I'm
Jeff.
a new caller. Hi.
Excuse me. Welcome to the call. Our
Thank
moderator
you.
is having some issues with his microphone, so he'll be with us shortly.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, I'm squeezed between meetings here, so I might not stay very long, but you know.
Okay. Would you like to give us your last name?
Dreyer, D-R-E-Y-E-R.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Right. You said you only have a half an hour before your next meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think Rick's aware of that, so
Yeah. Okay.
probably put you up first. Is my guess.
Who's speaking now?
Peter Kafka.
Now,
Oh, okay. Hi, Peter.
I guess
So far, we have 5 people on the call. We have Peter Kafka, Richard Davis, he's the moderator, somebody on the telephone, Eric Bookbinder, and Jeff Dreyer.
Yes.
I have a feeling Eric might be on Dreyer. And I have a feeling Eric might be on the phone. Speak up again, Eric. Would you want one more time?
Yeah, this is
I
Eric.
think it may be me on the telephone.
Ah, okay. I recognize that voice. How you doing, Sylvester?
I'm doing fine.
Good. Always glad to see you, sir.
Always a pleasure to be here.
so I'm gonna have to work without these headphones. I've got to play around with them tomorrow to get them to work. They're not going to work for me tonight. Jeff, how much time do you have?
Well, I have to be out of here at 3:30. So, yeah.
Well, we usually wait a little bit longer to aggregate people. Right now it's a pretty small group. There's usually quite a bit more than this. But what I would suggest is we get cracking right away because we only have half an hour. Jeff and I know each other. At least we've exchanged messages several times and communications, and I know Jeff's brother quite well. So I have a little background. But Jeff, why don't you fill the guys in on your situation and whatever your concerns are, and see if we can get some guidance for you.
All right, sure. Try to be concise fairly. So in February, I was diagnosed with Gleason 4+5 with, extensive tumor. And since then, let's see, bone scan and MRI didn't show anything, but ultrasound showed probable extracapsular extension. And that was a prostate ultrasound, yeah. So I evaluated, I sort of several things to do, but eventually decided on enrolling, was in a clinical trial at UCSF with Albert Chang involving looking at enzalutamide plus Lupron and IMRT and HDR. And the Lupron and enzalutamide will go on for 2 years. And so my questions are, right, okay, so I don't know, maybe you want to know PSA level. That was not very high. It's never been high. It's been like, the latest was 3.6, I think. So my questions at the moment are about the rationale and wisdom of being on Lupron and enzalutamide for 2 years. And reading around various places, I've seen that ADT is not curative on its own, but ADT kills some cancer cells. Those seem to be a little bit conflicting. So my question is, how does it work in conjunction? How does ADT work in conjunction with radiation to do a better job? What's the mechanism of cell killing, of cancer killing, specific cancer killing that ADT adds to radiation? And then what's the point of maintaining ADT for so long after the radiation treatment is done, which will be a couple of months from now? It'll be 5 weeks of IMRT. And are there any concerns that it might foster resistance, select for resistant cancer to be on ADT for that long and actually make matters worse? So those are my questions.
Anybody like to take a shot before I jump in? No? Well, the rationale for the ADT is essentially to starve the cancer, or for the, I don't want to say ADT, for the hormone therapy, because enzalutamide is not androgen deprivation therapy, it's an anti-androgen. There's a difference, which I think you're aware of, right? Jeff, you understand the difference between the androgen deprivation therapies and the anti-androgens?
I understand the differences in other work. As for the acronyms, which one is best applied, I'm not probably totally accurate on that, but yeah. So Lupron, yeah, right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the enzalutamide is a testosterone antagonist, and Lupron is a LHRH agonist. So I know those things. Downregulates production of testosterone.
Right. So the Lupron is an agonist, but it doesn't really matter for the sake of this discussion which are agonists and which are antagonists. What the LHRH drugs do is they stop you from producing testosterone. So if you don't have
right,
testosterone, there's nothing for the cancer to feed on. The anti-androgens work in different ways, but essentially they don't take the testosterone out of your body, but they stop the cancer from feeding on the testosterone that's in your body.
right.
So to answer your question, the reason you do it for an extended period of time is because the longer you starve the cancer, the more likely it is that the cancer will not be able to spread. Now, the question is whether that's a curative treatment. And for you, it may possibly be, because we're not sure about the metastasis. For people that have metastasized cancer, it probably is not curative, but it will control the cancer. So as soon as you stop the anti-androgens or the anti-androgens and the lupron stops working, or the ADT stops working, the cancer is going to resume.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but after you've finished up with the radiation part, so what is, I mean, what, and you've either killed all the cancer or you haven't. So what is the point of being on further hormone treatment?
because the radiation is only aimed at certain parts of your body. It's not aimed at the whole of your body. And we don't know where that cancer is. And if it's in the lymphatic system, it's going to reach places that are not being radiated.
But then those won't ever get cured, or else, or is it possible they will be after, you know, another year of hormone treatment or something?
Well, the point is,
Or are we just forestalling the inevitable?
well, no, because wherever the cells are, if you starve them, or if you starve the cells either by not providing testosterone or by preventing them from feeding on testosterone, you may weaken them sufficiently that they could die off, no matter where they are in your body. So in other words, if they systemic, then they're going to keep you on hormone therapy for a lot longer. If they don't think your disease is systemic and they put you on hormone therapy, it's essentially to weaken the cells, because the cells, the weaker cells, respond better to the radiation. That's why you start the radiation before you start the therapy. You start the hormone therapy, excuse me, before you start the radiation therapy.
Right. Okay, well, okay, I haven't read anything very clear on this. Maybe it's conjecture, or maybe more, maybe there's, yeah, on exactly what the hormone treatment is doing with the radiation. But anyway, but there are concerns that it will, you know, that it could select for resistant, or it will eventually, right? Select for resistant forms of the cancer, resistant to the hormone treatment.
Well, it might do.
Right.
At the same time, and it is a concern, and that's a concern as to how much radiation you actually do. At the same time, how much hormone therapy you actually do. At the same time, you have a chance of cure, or durable remission, I should say. Not really cure, but durable remission. I mean, the chances of cure per se for men that have a 4 in their number is pretty slim. But the chance of durable remission, meaning that you put the disease into remission and it never comes back, even though it possibly could, is a possibility. I think that's what my situation is, I hope, you know, knock on wood. But for some men, the hormone therapy can mutate the disease, and then it becomes more difficult to treat. So, I mean, let's just make sure that do you understand why you're doing the hormone therapy for longer than the period of the radiation at this point?
For longer than the period of radiation? Not very well, but I mean, that is the standard protocol. So I don't really understand why that works.
To you, what is it? What is it that you don't understand?
Well, so the hormone suppression is not killing the cancer. It's just kind of making it less, you know, unable to grow. So the killing of the cancer is due to the radiation. So once that's stopped, aren't you just sort of delaying, buying time, I guess, with the further hormone treatment, or which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, there's all these side effects with hormone treatment as well, and the danger of selecting for resistant cancer, which is hard to treat. So it's not clear to me that the long-term hormone treatment is, it's not a no-brainer that you would want to do that.
Well, what would you rather do? What are the other options?
Well, I'd like to have a shorter period of hormone treatment to lessen side effects associated with that, and maybe lessen the chance of developing a resistant cancer.
But if the evidential medicine suggests that you need a minimum of 12, if not 18 months, because if you do less than that, the hormone therapy doesn't seem to be effective. Are you still interested in doing less than what the evidential, the clinical study?
Well, no, but I guess I'd like to see that. I mean, read where that, I'd like to find some reference about that or something.
There are plenty of studies, Jeff. You can go on and you can look for the studies. There are studies comparing 4 months to 28 months. There are studies comparing 12 to 36 months. There's another study, I think, that compares 18 to 36 months. And they said there's one study that shows that 18 is no different to 36. But if you do,
and these are with in the setting of radiation treatment as well.
the 4 and 28 is definitely. I think the 18 and 36 is. I'd have to do some research. But you can do the research. I mean, there are a number of studies out there that compare how long you should be on hormone therapy, and specifically androgen deprivation therapy. And, my own total evidence, for what it's worth, is the men that don't stick out the time long enough on the androgen deprivation therapy, the ones that I've known have had more problem with recurrent disease. So, to say that you don't understand it because you feel that all the, all the hormone deprivation does is to, the androgen deprivation does is to put these cells into a dormant stage. And there is argument that that's all it does. I would say a couple of things. One, the cells have been significantly weakened by the radiation. So at that point, continued starvation may well kill them off, which is why they use somewhere between 12 and 36 months for men with a Gleason 8 or higher. And secondly, there are cells that may not be addressed by the radiation, and this is the only way to treat them.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, does anyone have a... Okay. Okay.
Why don't I open this up and let others contribute to the conversation?
Sure. And also, if anyone has experience on enzalutamide, side effects or things, this is a new early treatment, I guess.
Well, it's been around a while.
Thank you.
But we do have some people that have done enzalutamide who are on the call right now.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, this is Jake, Jeff.
Hi.
What Rick says is absolutely true. You know, with the radiation, they kill most of it, but if there's any chance that any cells escaped or you know, were not in the prostate or prostatic bed itself, that's what the hormone treatment is going to try to catch. It's a systemic treatment. The enzalutamide, likewise, will starve the cancer cells and hopefully kill them off and catch them and keep them dormant. As far as side effects, I'm on both. I'm on Lupron. I have been for almost 5 years, and I've been on enzalutamide for about 4 months now, and they're tolerable. You know, everyone has different side effects. Some people have very little side effects. Some people have more. It varies from person to person. I haven't had that many that I've noticed, but it works. You know, it's keeping my PSA down, and that's all I wanted to do. Mine is worse than yours. I had Gleason 8, but mine had spread to my spine and my, you know, several parts of my body. So as Rick said earlier, it's probably, in my case, it's probably not curable. So you know, the hormone therapy and the enzalutamide are keeping it at bay.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask for. So.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, the other thing that with newly diagnosed people, a lot of times what they're doing nowadays is they're giving hormone treatment and chemotherapy up front. I'm surprised your doctors didn't mention that. But you said you're part of a clinical trial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
for high risk,
okay,
I guess.
Jake, the reason why is because for Jeff, there's no evidence of metastasis. They suspect there may possibly be a lymph node involved, but there's no bone metastasis that's evident at this point.
Okay. So they only do the chemo when they think of there's a metastasis.
Well,
is that correct?
Yeah, yes, because that's what the trials were. But there are some docs now who are looking at giving it earlier. I mean, like I think Skip Maniscalco may have had lymphatic involvement, no bone involvement, and Prostate Cancer Associates wanted to give him, or did give him, chemotherapy early on, but they only gave him, I think, 4 sessions of chemo from memory. I have to open and look. So you know, it may well be within a couple of years we'll be seeing people diagnosed with high-risk disease like Jeff or myself who are offered chemotherapy up front. But right now, it's not a standard protocol at all.
Only for metastatic disease. Okay.
Only for metastatic disease.
So anyway, if you know the side effects, you know, you'll probably won't have hot flashes. That's pretty common. But they're bearable. At least I found them to be. You might lose some body hair. You won't go bald, but you might lose, you know, like your hair on your arms, under your arms, genital hair. You might find some genital shrinkage. It's embarrassing, but you get used to it after a while. You know, start joking about it after a point. But like I said, every man has different, you know, reactions. Some men have no side effects. Some men have more than others, but they're all tolerable. And you'll probably get used to them over time. At least that's what happened with me. You know, they seem to lessen in severity. Does that help at all?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Right. Okay. Well. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay. Thanks.
Peter, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I never got too technically into the mechanics of how it's working and why it's working. I just know the studies I followed the studies that seemed to imply that your chances of longer survival and a more durable remission were greater. So I went with it. I have noticed that some guys with lower grade disease, sometimes they don't even go on hormone treatment, and I wondered about that. But with a Gleason 9, which I have and which Jeff just mentioned, I don't know if I want to play the odds of risking, not going with the best treatment that's shown on the studies that gives the longest remission.
Yeah.
Right now, Jeff, I'm off of hormone treatment. I did 18 months. I did radiation. I did surgery too, and right now I've been off for 4 or 5 months, and my testosterone has actually come back this past month. So, and what that means, we're going to follow it month to month and see what it means. I mean, I'm ready to hop back on an LHRH drug or something, because I'm going to monitor it really carefully. I mean, there's no guarantees with this thing, and I still feel young and healthy, and I want to go at it as long as I can. So,
yeah.
So I dealt with the side effects. I mean, it wasn't pleasant, but I did it, and it was okay. And there's certain things you can do to minimize them. You can drag your butt to the gym and exercise as much as you can, and that helps a lot in terms of negating some of the fatigue and other symptoms you have, side effects you have. This is a strange disease because in a lot of cases it's worse. The side effects of the treatment are worse than the disease itself until toward the end. But I don't want to get toward the end. I've seen enough people wait that long, including my own dad, and I don't want to go there if I can help it.
Yeah. Okay. Great meeting you all. I need to go to my meeting. So thank you very much, Peter and Jake and Rick.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Jeff. I mean, you're always welcome to come back, but I think Peter's words are very sage in that you can over-intellectualize this. You need the people to really ask as to why you're taking these drugs in the medical team, and people like Albert or the Chinese lady, I forget her name. But they should be able to explain it to you. We're not docs, so our understanding is not as deep as theirs. But the bottom line is that these studies show that the treatment they're recommending is the most effective treatment. If you don't want to deal with the side effects, you don't have to do that treatment, but you're likely to be looking at the disease coming back a lot sooner than it otherwise would. And you have to make the decision whether you want to roll the dice to do that or not.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm willing to do it if it, has a good chance of never coming back again, and I can forget about it at some stage. That would be great.
Let me just, I realize you've got to go, but you're never going to be able to not forget about it, because the nature of your disease is never going to put you in a situation. I mean, you have to set your expectations right. With Gleason 4 plus 5, you're never going to be in a situation where you can use the word cure. You may be in a situation where you can use the word durable remission. But every year PSA test done, there's always a possibility that I recognize that it may not come back at less than 0.1. Even though it's been less than 0.1 now for 5 years or more. And that's what it doesn't matter what treatment you do. So, I don't want you to go in and say, well, I thought this was going to cure me if the disease comes back. It's not going to cure you, but it's going to give you the best chance of what's called a durable and permanent remission. At the same time, the disease can come back.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, good incentive to take best care of yourself possible.
Correct.
So, okay, well, thanks a lot. I will speak with you again.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
and listen to the others. Okay, bye.
Well, I know you're a quiet lot tonight. Nobody else wanted to try to help to set this guy straight. No, I mean, I've been having this conversation with him for probably a month and a half now. And you know, he's a very smart guy. Very smart guy. But sometimes you can over-intellectualize these things. And I always wonder with a guy like this who's had a number of treatments, why doesn't he ask his doctor these questions? You know, he's got good doctors. He's got doctors that can explain it to him, as Peter will vouch for, because Peter's been treated by some of the same doctors.
Right.
And I think Eric Bookbind has met some of these doctors. So I don't know why we answer these questions. This conversation is, I mean, I've had the same conversation with him about 3 times now. And I think it's like a situation where he just doesn't want to accept what the answer is. He doesn't internalize the answer. So,
Right.
so
Well, out of fairness to him, Rick, it took me a while to get used to the idea too. You know, you kind of takes a while to accept your lot in life, and if you don't hear what you want to hear, sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow. I'm sure he'll come around eventually.
there's a big difference, though, Jake. I mean, he was not diagnosed with metastasized disease.
True.
And so there's a chance that he could get a durable remission. And,
if I was him, I'd throw the kitchen sink at it.
Well, that's right. I mean, that's certainly what I wanted to do, and I think most men do. And to talk about, well, I don't really understand why I have to do it for so long when he's as smart as he is, and he has serious disease,
Yeah.
not metastasized. Maybe that just endorses your point that he's just having trouble internalizing. So maybe you're right, and I stand corrected. So there you go. We've come right round in the circle.
Right. Well, my experience with Albert Chang was, when I finished my radiation, he essentially told me to stop taking the Casodex. He was kind of a little bit unclear on the Lupron itself too. But I mean, to me, that was the advantage I had of having a medical oncologist outside of that system who was more aggressive and said, hey, stay on it. The radiation might be over, but stay on the hormone treatment. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I think though that his issue isn't so much about the duration of the treatment, although that's clearly a concern. What he's saying is, I don't understand how this treatment works, and why would I need to stay on it so long?
Right.
And that's sort of a different question. I mean, if you asked Albert Chang why you were doing hormone deprivation, he'd be able to explain it to you. And if you said, well, should I do it for 3 months instead of 18 months, I think he'd be able to explain to you why you should. Now, he doesn't agree with leaving you on the Casedex because he feels that it accelerates the mutation of the disease. But there are other people like the Turner and Schultz who don't agree with that. Fluffy,
Right.
who don't agree with that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where I stand. I always thought it did, but then I see more and more people, even at these institutions, leaving men on double blockade for a lot longer than they used to. So I don't know what the answer is. I know why they put you on both. And, you know, his issue is, why am I on these drugs? How do they work to help me control the disease? And that's, I think that's what's puzzling me.
Right.
Anyway, who do we have on the call? Let's have a look here. The people that I have noted on the call tonight are Jeff Dreyer, who is no more, Eric Bookbinder, who is no more, Sylvester Mann, Jake Hannum, Paul Frieda, Larry Fish. Anybody else? Okay.
Oh, don't forget Peter.
Yeah, I'm here too. Yeah.
I thought I said Peter. Didn't I say Peter?
I think you did. I can't remember. I've been taking drugs so long I can't remember.
I know. And Eric is in
I already mentioned.
your part of the world, by the way, Peter. I don't know which island he's on, but he's in Hawaii.
Interesting. Okay. I was going to ask him that.
And I'm
See if he
sorry.
comes back on. It's only the afternoon here. It's only 2 in the afternoon here. Or noon here, I mean. It's not even 1 o'clock. So.
Not even 1 o'clock. And it's 1:45 to midnight here.
Right.
We're spanning the globe. I'm sorry that Eric didn't have a chance to talk because he was diagnosed with additional metastases last week, which concerned him, but we prevailed on him to take a vacation. And now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next. Let me see. They're looking at, hold on a minute, I'll tell you, because I have some notes here.
Rick, is there a way to get closer to the microphone or something? Because I'm having a hard time hearing you. Peter, Paul Frieda's having a hard time hearing you. You're kind of very muffled.
I mean, I'm using my little laptop and I cannot get my, I can't get the headphones to work. I'm going to try again in a moment to get the headphones to work, but I had them working the other day. They don't seem to be working today.
At the moment, you're
right
good, but a couple
now,
minutes ago, you were very muffled.
And I that's really why I brought the headphones with me. I'm sorry about that. What I don't understand is why sometimes I'm not muffled and sometimes I am. Because you said before I wasn't muffled, right?
Yeah, you kind of, it's kind of like Peter. You know, sometimes you hear him well, sometimes you don't. I think it's the distance more than
Can
anything.
you hear me at all now?
Yeah, you sound good right now.
Yeah, I think that's true with me too. I was sitting back in my chair.
Hello?
Now, you sound perfect there, Peter. Do that all the time. Whatever you're doing now, do it all the time.
Lean into it.
Like a rowing machine.
Okay, yesterday there were a couple of guys that called in who mixed the data up. I thought they'd call in today. One was Jerry Grimes from Michigan, and he was going to call back in today.
That's a little bit disappointing. Right now, it's just all the old hands.
Right. Well, let's see who's got something that they want to bring up. Can you hear us, Rick?
I don't think he can. He's kind of looking like he doesn't hear anything.
Oh, no.
Can you hear us at all, Rick? Nod your head. No.
Well, I don't know. It's Larry Fish. Hi, guys.
Right.
I don't really, I'm sort of in the waiting mode. I mean, I had a 0.1 PSA. I had the stage 4 Gleason 8 and 9. And for 2 years, I've been on Lupron Casodex. And PSA went from 0.1, as best I can tell, to 0.2. And now I'm just waiting to see what happens. I have an appointment next week. I'm just trying to wonder right now, they're talking about 3 months, but if it goes up again, I'm going to want to encourage getting it monthly, like to get defined as castrate resistant early rather than later. And then I was thinking, I guess you switch to add, do you just add enzalutamide, or you just, do insurance companies generally go with allowing both Lupron and enzalutamide? And what's the average time that works for the average people, if it works?
Well, some people get actually several years out of it. Jake, you've been on over 6 months, right? At this point?
Going on 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people get, I mean, I've heard of people going for years, several years with it.
Right. That's what I'm hoping for.
Me too. That's exactly, so they can come up with, you know, an alternative or additional solutions, or
Right.
holding, not solutions, but holding
Larry.
holding. Yes, hi.
Hi, this is Jake. The only thing that I found with, well, I've been on Lupron for almost 5 years. It's my PSA started going back up again, so we had to do something. So my doctor put me on Casodex for about a year, and it worked. But then my PSA started going up again, and we stopped that. And we went to, and that was no problem with the insurance company because it's dirt cheap. You know, I think I was paying $3 for 30 days worth of pills. It's amazingly inexpensive. But then we found out that that wasn't working, so my doctor decided to put me on enzalutamide, and that was an issue with the insurance companies because you have to get it through a specialty pharmacy. You know, you can't just go to your local pharmacy and order it. You have to get it from a specialty pharmacy, and it's usually the one that's approved by your insurance company. In my case, I have Blue Cross, and my specialty pharmacy is CVS. And it just took a few phone calls between the doctor office and the insurance and the pharmacy and my insurance company to get it approved. So it wasn't an issue. It just wasn't an overnight thing. It took a couple of weeks to get it approved.
Yeah, I was always thinking about, is it worth adding well, I'm still working. I'm going to be cutting back on work, I guess, pretty soon. But eventually to switch to Medicare and with, you know, a supplementary package, maybe the category F, the best supplementary. Does that tend to be easier to work with, or do you find like Blue Cross Blue Shield or working and doing with the modern insurance company bastards is preferable to Medicare plus a a good auxiliary, a good supplementary package?
I can't answer. I am also on Medicare. They're my primary primary insurance, but they don't cover any pills whatsoever. So then you have to have a secondary one. I have Blue Cross, which is what I had from my work. I kept it to keep, to keep my wife covered. And so I think supplement D or supplement F, I'm not sure what that is.
No, it's Part A. Part D is the drug
Part
plan.
D. Okay.
Supplement F is one of those options for Medicare, like AARP,
Okay.
that you might add on top of the Medicare. That's the most expensive one. In terms of the drugs, I did talk with a consultant about a year ago. They were saying that in terms of the cancer drugs, Part D is generally pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure it's similar to what I have.
Yeah.
My copay in my particular case, and it varies from insurance company to insurance company. And Part D is usually administered by one of the biggies anyway, Aetna, Blue Cross, whatever. In my case, it's $9,000 some dollars per month, and my copay is $20.
Damn, that's what I'm hoping for.
$30. Yeah, it would have been $30, but I got help from the people that make Xtandi or enzalutamide, so it's $20 a month. But that's going to change, or that'll vary from from company to company.
I'm not worried about 20 and 30. I'm worried about 2,000 and 4,000.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I was for a year and a half. I was sweating bullets because I was afraid they wouldn't cover it. But I'm lucky that they did. So, I don't know if anybody else has had experience, but I'm sure they can speak up if they do. I don't know. Can you still hear us, Rick?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
I wonder if we could ever wanted to think about getting someone to talk about different insurance options with the kinds of drugs that we're on, maybe for a general group. Because there are all these questions. I mean, I asked my doctor, they don't know much. Some of them do. I saw a consultant, but it was a general consultant, so she didn't know my specific drugs, what I see in the future, Xtandi, enzalutamide,
Well,
and whatever comes after that. Yeah.
My understanding is that Part D covers you, but only a percentage up to the donut hole. You go through the donut hole, and then it covers you 100%. And Part F has always confused me. I'm not really certain what Part F is.
It's not Part F. It's a plan. You can get supplementary plans. There are two options. You can take one of these totally managed plans, which is not Medicare. Or you can take Medicare and add a supplementary plan like AARP, and they have different variations of supplementary plans. And some states, some areas offer only a few options, some offer a lot. And each one of those is called like Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D. It's not Medicare, it's this kind of supplementary plan. When I say Plan F, that's generally, there's two of them that are kind of equivalent. I forgot the other one. Those are generally the ones that are the best.
Yeah, but
the other ones have different ranges of pay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying, but the basic Medicare can be supplemented, and the supplements that are available, as I understand it, are bought under the context of Part A and Part B. Part D applies to drugs, and I didn't think that Part F was a supplementary plan, but maybe it is.
Yeah, well, there's no Part F. It's not Part F. It's one of the supplementary plans.
There is a Part F. There is a
there's a Part F. I mean, Plan F is different. I'm not talking about Part F. Okay. Not part of Medicaid. It's the supplementary Plan F. when you go to AARP or another supplementary provider, they'll
Right.
have different levels of plans. And there's a big book out with all the plans and the states and the check marks.
Right. I understand that, but under the basic Medicare, my understanding is that there is an F option under Medicare. And I'm not certain what that F option is. I mean, it's what Jake just referred to. Some of the other guys on the call might know, but I looked at this about 3 or 4 years ago, so I'm a bit rusty on it. But I know that D applies to your drug coverage. A and B. I mean, if you opt for the United Healthcare ARP plan, that is a supplement that is either supplement A or supplement B to your basic Medicare. If you only take basic Medicare, you're responsible for 20% of everything. If you don't take basic Medicare and you add to it, I mean, up to date, I've had an HMO plan through Kaiser called Advantage. And with that plan, you pay a certain amount per month, and Kaiser, and then basically you pay co-pays and drug supplements and goodness knows what. But if you're not on Kaiser, you can get other plans. One of those plans is the United Healthcare plan, which is a very good plan. You can also buy drug coverage with that, which is D, and then there is an F option, but I'm not certain what that F option is. Does it, and I hear what you're saying, Larry, that you think that the F option is another supplemental plan?
I don't think that, I really think, I'm trying to look through my I got like my Medicare and You 2016 book here that I just just pulled out. So C is Advantage plans.
Okay.
A and B, one is hospitalization that doesn't cost you anything. I think I forgot which is A or B, and the other one is B, which is the one that you talk about. They more or less cover 80%, but 20% of infinity is a lot. And so you try to get a supplementary plan to deal with that problem of that 20%. And depending on the area, they show you the option, what other plans are available as supplementary and what does it cost. I look here at, it's a little bit, I'm not going to start going through the book and reading everything, but
no. But
Plan F is like around $200, $300 a month in addition to the Medicare fee, but it's the best coverage plan. Sort of tries to eliminate the donut hole.
Right. But that is a more luxurious form of B. B is not 20% alone. B is what is the plan that will cover more than the 20%, and you pay something like $160 or $170 a month for it in California. I don't know what it is in New York.
Yeah, that's the basic Medicare. Sorry, go ahead.
That's the United Healthcare plan, which allows you to pretty much get treated any way you want to get treated. They're pretty flexible on that. And then there is a
national,
and then there's a more luxurious version of that, which I think is F, but I've never been quite clear on what F covers. Does anybody else want to contribute to this? Guys, most of you guys are, not most of you, but several are on Medicare. Go ahead.
Insurance is a challenging one. I find that the best thing to do is, like I've worked with a buddy here who's had this go through 3 insurance plans in this year alone until he gets on Medicare, and you got to watch what steps you take, and you got to. I find you got to find somebody in the insurance office, the carrier's office, who can look up the drug formulary and give you an idea what your copay is going to be, before you make decisions, because it can have big impacts on you. As you say, Larry, 20% of something, of expensive drugs for the rest of your life can mount up fast. So it's really worth going, just reading the material can be mesmerizing, but going to an office and finding a clerk or secretary who will actually sit down and work with you is a huge benefit.
When I look at this, the Medicare and You book that they send, I see in 2016 on page 101, they talk about Medicare supplemental insurance, which is the Medigap, with plans from A to N. And they don't show the prices because the prices can vary. But F is basically the one that does the best in terms of the 80%. They're all pretty reasonable.
Hold on a second, because again, I just want to make sure we're not talking about apples and oranges here.
Well, we're talking about if you're going to get B, I guess A is hospitalization, and
Right.
then you're going to get B, which is your medical, going to medical offices and seeing your doctors,
Right.
and the treatments that go with that.
Right. And there are lots of different options under B. There are several different options under B.
Right,
And then,
plan A through N under
right.
B.
But that's different to the F that we talked about before. F is, there is a separate F category. There's A and B. A is hospitalization. B is medical services outside of hospitalization. C is the Advantage plan. D is the drugs plan. And then there is an F option there too. And that F option is not one of the options that you were referring to under A, or there used to be an F option.
Yeah, I think that F option is rolled into the B option. And here it says, Plan F also offers high deductible plan in some states. If you choose this, you must pay for Medicare covered costs, coinsurance, co-payments, deductibles up to the deductible amount of $2,180 before your policy pays anything, and then it kind of pays the rest.
Well,
I think that's, I'm not sure, but I think that Part F is really a version, it's a supplemental plan additional to Part B, or it was explained to me that way.
Maybe I didn't think I didn't think that B was an option on one of the alternatives, but you could be right, and I don't have anything with me here to look at it.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe there's somebody that could talk about plans and plans and options for specific to advanced prostate cancer.
Yeah, it's a good idea. If we can find somebody who's not trying to pitch something and sell something, but actually take the time to explain it, we could research that and see if we can come up with somebody. It's probably a good idea. I know that it's more than drugs. When I was first diagnosed, I thought I had very good insurance through the federal government, through Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I hadn't started my Medicare yet. I didn't qualify. I wasn't quite old enough, and it wasn't going to kick in, and I needed to get a PET scan early on, and they wouldn't cover me for the PET scan with my insurance unless I had Medicare. So I had to pay over $1,500 out of pocket just for one scan. So there's a lot of things hidden in the game.
Yeah, exactly. The scans are the key. I mean, I got a denial letter saying, "Oh, you have prostate cancer. You had a biopsy of your hip. You don't need a PET. You don't need a PET scan. You just had getting these horrible calls. I wish I could shut it off. You're getting you had an MRI 6 months. You had a MRI and a biopsy 6 months ago, and 3 months ago you had a bone scan, and there's no reason for you to have a PET scan. You have your disease, and you're getting your treatment. And I'm wondering, well, I want to find out after 6 months if this thing is spreading somewhere. and they deny it, and then you have to wait another 6 months. So depending on the insurance, that's the most important thing is treatments and, how often you can get MRIs, bone scans, PET scans, and whatever other kind of sophisticated tests are going to be available. I'd love to know more about that.
Well,
That's really all I had to say. I mean, I didn't.
yeah, I mean, I'm not, obviously from you can hear, I'm not a specialist on this, although I may be in another month because I've got to reset my insurance when I get back. So I may know a lot more by the time I get back. At the same time, if anybody has or wants to identify someone that can talk to us, then I'd certainly be more than happy to give them time. The question is identifying who that person is. And I don't have anybody that I know of offhand.
Yeah.
I knew the person.
Yeah, I'm concerned about this.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm concerned about the issue too, because once I start entering into, the other drugs, enzalutamide, et cetera, I'm wondering how much my my insurance company is going to cover that. It can easily end up you're paying $2,000 a month for a drug to keep you alive, and that would hurt me quite a bit. So, but I'm in the dark about how you stay out of that trap. Right now, I've got Humana for my drug coverage, but I'm in the dark about what they'll be like when I start to ask for exotic drugs.
Yeah,
and,
but Paul, the point is.
Go ahead.
The point is that you may pay $2,000 a month for a couple of months, but you don't, under Medicare, you don't pay that forever. Because once you go through the donut hole, then Medicare picks it up in full. So you're never in the situation where you're going to be paying perpetually that type of money.
No, Medicare doesn't pay for the drugs unless it's something that's given to you in the office. If it's a drug that you're getting from a pharmacy, then you have to have a separate drug plan, which is either Medicare D or some other drug like Humana or something like that.
That's right.
That's correct.
That's right. So you carry Medicare Part D, which isn't that expensive.
No, I don't have Part D.
Well, why don't you get Part D?
Well, I've got Humana. You're saying I should have both?
Yes.
No, you don't need.
I would need both. How much
Wait
is
a minute.
the?
Humana is insurance. Is Humana an HMO or is Humana an insurance?
I have a Humana drug plan, and it goes through Walmart. And whenever I need some kind of drug, I end up paying like $3 or $5 or something like that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was $162, and I think I paid $10.
Okay. So
I don't have Medicare Part D. Are you saying I should have Medicare Part D in addition to my Humana drug plan?
I don't think so. Part D is provided by commercial insurance companies, Humana, ARP, Aetna, all the biggies. You can get it. This is considered secondary insurance. And like in my case, I have A and B, and as you said, they do not cover any drugs other than the stuff I get in my doctor's office. The Lupron, Zomed, and that they cover 80%. And then my secondary insurance picks up the difference. I have no copay, no deductible, no nothing. As for the drugs, most of them, and that varies from insurance company to insurance company. With me, I have Blue Cross as my secondary, and they pay 80%, and I'm responsible for 20%. But they make an exception for certain drugs, and enzalutamide is one of them. That's why I was sweating bullets. I said earlier, $9,000 a month. I'm thinking I'm going to have to pay $2,000 or so out of my pocket, but it turns out I don't have to. So I don't know how that works, and it may vary from insurance company to insurance company. But it's all part of it. It's all the equivalent of Part D.
Right.
You know, you can insure yourself to death, but
But hold on a second, guys.
the other thing you got to
hold on a second.
One other thing, Rick. One other thing. The other thing you got to think about is if you're on Medicare, then you're married. Your wife and your spouse is not covered unless she's also eligible. So that's why I have Blue Cross through my old employer, because my wife is not eligible and would not be covered under a Part D plan.
Okay.
Or
I don't know
for any doctor.
I don't know whether Paul's Humana plan is a Part D plan or if it's completely independent. But if he's on Medicare, he's eligible for a Part D plan. If he's on a Part D plan, he's limited in how much he pays out of pocket each year for his drugs. Anybody who's on a Part D plan is limited in how much they pay out of pocket if it's a Part D plan. And that's what this whole donut hole conversation is about. So you pay a certain percentage until you get to the donut hole, and then you go through the donut hole, and then when you've spent the whatever the deductible is, then they pay 100%. So you're not liable for the whole cost of the drugs for the 100% for the year.
Okay. Okay. I should call him out and find out if it's considered part of the D plan, or it's considered completely separate. I should find out about that.
Right. And Paul, you should also ask Humana specifically about, specific drugs, whether they're in their formulary or not, because some insurance companies don't cover certain drugs or ask you for a significant copay for them. So,
well, one thing I know is that the Humana's got 5 tiers of drugs, where the first tier is a normal drug, and the 5th tier are the more exotic drugs. And there may be certain drugs that are not even in the 5th tier. I don't know about that.
Right, and you have to pay a certain amount, a certain percentage more for the 5th tier drug or whatever. So check with them, and they'll answer your questions. They'll look them up.
Right, right.
Well, let me ask you something about Humana, because it sounds a lot like the Kaiser plan. With Humana, do you only go to Humana hospitals, and do you only see Humana doctors?
No, it's totally separate from everything and anything else I do. It's a Humana drug plan, and it's associated with Walmart. And
okay.
And I pay $28 a month, I think it is. And pretty much almost any drug that I get is I pay almost nothing. I pay some very minor copay, which is usually less than $15 and often less than $10.
Okay.
But I recently had to get a drug that I think was $162, and they only asked me to pay, I think, $8, something like that.
Okay.
I asked them, I said, how much would this cost without insurance? And they said $160, and then, because I have the Humana coverage, I only paid $8. But I don't know, well, anyway, yeah.
So this Humana coverage that you have, is it available to everybody, or do you have to be on Medicare to get it?
I don't know that. I don't know that. Well, I'm not sure whether they have a qualification or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, is another point of insurance. I have a friend. I pay for my supplemental insurance that covers the 20% that Medicare doesn't pay. I have Mutual of Omaha, and I can't remember if I don't think I've ever paid a copay. I think they cover everything, and they have consistently for anything I do. Their rates have been going up. I've gone from $160 a month to almost $300 a month. It's going to start next month, but they cover everything. But I have a friend who doesn't pay anything because he's a part of an HMO. He pays absolutely nothing every month, but but he pays like a $30 copay every time he has to do something. And but I've been reluctant to switch to that because I'm not sure whether they can drop you or not, and whether they'll cover certain things that are, that I'm likely to encounter as a prostate cancer patient, where my friend doesn't have any of that problem. He's relatively healthy.
Okay, so I do know a little bit about that. That's the Advantage plan. And there are several companies that offer the Advantage plan. Kaiser, that's a Kaiser plan. I believe your friend he pays co-pays, but he also pays a monthly fee. It's a lot less than what you're paying, but he does pay a monthly fee.
No, actually, I think he doesn't pay anything. I'm pretty sure he said he doesn't pay anything.
I'd be surprised.
But anyway, I might be wrong. Maybe he pays a nominal $20 or something a month or something like that.
I mean, my Kaiser plan.
And I've been reluctant to jump just because of the
Okay. So here's the issue. My Kaiser plan, I know, is costing now $105 or $107 a month, and then there are significant co-pays every time I go. But the problem with the HMOs is that most of them treat to a community standard of medicine. So if you want more than that, if you want to go to a center of excellence, the HMO is not going to cover you.
Right, that's very bad. Yeah. Yeah.
So anybody who has advanced cancer, I would not suggest joining an HMO.
Right. That was my instinct, and I'm glad you confirmed that.
And that's why if you look at Steve, it's a very interesting situation with him, because he's gotten Kaiser to provide a lot of treatments that most people would not get at Kaiser because of his employment history with Kaiser.
Good for him.
We have someone new on the, not new, I saw when you came on, is who's on the telephone that we haven't called out yet. Would you like to tell us?
This is Bill Franklin.
Oh, Bill Franklin. Did you say Bill Franklin?
Yeah, I did. I'm out traveling around, so I thought I'd dial in.
Good. Welcome.
I'm just going to listen in for a little bit.
Sure. Where are you?
Oh, I'm back home now, but I thought I'd dial in.
Oh, okay.
I got something to say later if you get time.
We got time.
All right.
Tell us. We're a small group tonight, so you can jump in and tell us what you'd like to tell us.
Well, I moved last time. I was talking about my my increased fatigue after my last ADT treatment. That seems to have cleared up a bit. I've got a little bit more energy. But I started karate classes with my kids, so that's been a great benefit.
All right.
And Rick, you sound like you're up past your bedtime or something, man. You tired over there?
Yeah, it's midnight here.
You mean nights in the pub or what? Come on.
I'm in a teetotal house, man, I got to tell you. I've been drinking, though, because they still have booze left from when they were drinkers. So I'm happy.
No.
So tell us, are you practicing your karate with your children?
Well, yeah, we practice at home, but I did martial arts and judo, wrestling, martial arts when I was younger, and hadn't done it for years and years and years. My kids have been in karate for about 4 years, and I just kept threatening to go back myself, and so I finally did. And but we practice at home, but I go 3 nights a week, and it's an awesome workout, I'll tell you that.
And you're feeling better?
Oh yeah, it definitely helps. Like you always say, the exercise. It's a step up from like the man plan and just walking.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit more intense.
Yep.
And I guess I just needed something a little bit more than what I was doing. Yeah. Push myself.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I'm delighted, and I think everybody on the call is probably happy to hear you say that, because I do think that if you push yourself a little bit with exercise, it pays off in spades. Anyone else want to jump in on that one?
No, if no one wants to talk about exercise tonight.
I know. They're a tough bunch. It's not you, Bill. They're a tough bunch tonight. So
I can't see who's on. I just dialed in on my phone, so I can't see who's on tonight.
it's good. They don't want to be identified tonight because they're not talking.
No, it's Larry Fish.
Hello, Larry Fish.
I completely.
Hey, Larry.
Hey guys, I completely agree with you. The more exercise you can get in, the better the result is. You know, like you don't feel like doing anything. What I noticed from Lupron is that you don't get that rush of adrenaline that you used to get when you used to do a good workout and you come out feeling so much better. You may come out feeling tired, but over the day and the next day after that, you really do feel the benefit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
I sound like a broken record, so, but it's true. It's true. Right, Mr. Kafka?
Yes, it works. It works.
Good. Okay. Any other news from you, Bill?
No, not too much. My buddy Rich over in Japan still, he's still trying to decide what he's going to do. He's doing a lot more research. He's been in touch with some doctors here.
Yeah.
I think I told you he's from Florida.
Right.
About 50 miles north of where I live in Newport Richey. So his mother and stepfather are here. So I think he's sent. He got all his medical records translated and to English because he's going to exclusively to Japanese hospitals. And I think he has sent everything that he could send to his mother for her to take like scans and stuff around to other doctors. But I haven't heard from him about 3 days. But
he has the names of some local doctors. I do know that. So
yeah, in Japan.
In Japan and also in northern Florida. I know that Peter Carroll gave him a couple of names.
Yeah, he's got the names.
Right.
But he's still in Japan, so I don't think he's.
Right.
I think he went the name that you got for him there. He actually said it was funny because he had a hard time getting the referral. It's unusual in Japan for the patient to come up with the doctor's name. So, the one doctor refers another one or refers another one, and it's unusual for the patient to come in and say, I want to see Dr. Shinoba, he's the best, so he kind of threw him when he said he wanted to see a particular doctor. They almost didn't know how to schedule something like that.
Well, he could always say that he was referred by UCSF or something like that. So.
Yeah, well, having lived in Japan for 6 years, I understand what he's going through.
Yeah, no,
but
I can empathize. So let me just check. Is there anybody? I'll throw it open because I don't know we have that many people on the call. Is there anybody that would like to bring anything up that we haven't, who hasn't had a chance to speak yet?
I have a little tidbit of news that might be of interest, Rick.
Go ahead.
Mike Scott of the new Prostate Cancer Info Link posted today that the FDA has either approved or is about to approve a new a biosimilar to abiraterone. It's not quite a generic, but it's a biosimilar, which may ultimately result in lower prices. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but it sounds like it's imminent. The only difference is that instead of prednisone, you take methylprednisone with it. I think that's the right term. So I posted the thing on Facebook. I shared his article, but I thought anybody that's taking abiraterone or sees it in their future might find it of interest.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I did see I did see it come across the transom. Peter, did you look at that yet?
No, I've not. I thought I saw it, but I did not read it yet.
And we had talked before about a generic to abiraterone because I think they're, you know, we were discussing whether their patent or copyright or whatever it is is getting ready to expire. But this is a biosimilar,
Right.
which is different than a generic, but hopefully it'll be some competition and it should result in lower prices, hopefully, especially for those people with insurance issues.
Yeah, I think it's a while before abiraterone's going to come off of patent. I think, isn't the patent 15 years?
Yeah, I think you're right. We talked about that once before, and I think you're right. And that's probably why they're calling it a biosimilar instead of a generic.
Right. And I think abiraterone was approved in 2010 or 2011, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
So I think it's going to be quite a while, but that'd be great.
Yeah, that's good news.
Very good news. Very good news.
So Rick, on
yes.
our call yesterday, I brought up I was talking about an article that I read, and I've got to go back and reread it, and I can't remember where I found it recently, talking about the imminent changes coming in pathology, where they're, I think in Europe, they're going to computerize pathology so that to make it less subjective and more objective in terms of reading pathology reports and coming up with Gleason scores that are less dependent on the eye of the doctor, more on the computer. I don't know if that's, I don't know, I think it might have been in Holland or someplace. They said it's not approved in the U.S. at all. There's no experimentation with it here, but I think in places in Europe they're starting to try it.
Where did you read about this, Peter?
I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look. It was on either it was on my Oncology Today or something like that I read it. I'll have to go back and try to find it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but it would be great if we could standardize the pathology interpretation.
Right.
That of course is a huge issue. I mean, that's so often why we need to get second and third opinions and more.
Right. Well, that's what they're going for, and it makes sense. I mean, with computer, they can feed enough information, and there's probably enough statistical data on file with so many cases of biopsies and so forth that they can probably feed a lot into computers and come up with some pretty good standards.
Well, the only interesting news that I have is that I'm almost certain to be meeting with the CEO or executive director, whatever you want to call her, at PCUK next week. I had actually heard that she thought she'd sent me a date, but I didn't get the date. So, you know, I'm not quite sure what my agenda is, other than to talk to them about maybe trying to introduce some of these virtual calls in the UK. But my dream is to try and have PCUK influence the way that awareness and education is conducted in the US. And I just don't know really how to go about doing that. I think that Chuck Strand is a lot more open to talking to PCUK than Tom Kirk was. I don't know what other organizations in the US have had any discussions or connect or have any links to PCUK. I don't think any other than perhaps Prostate Cancer Foundation, because PCUK also performs the function that Prostate Cancer Foundation performs in the US, i.e. they dole out all the money for research. But anyway, that's in the offing, and so you have to watch this space to see what comes of it. And I'm open if anybody has any bright ideas on how we could stimulate some of our people in the United States to learn from what PCUK has done. I'm very happy to pursue that. How many on the call have seen any of the PCUK efforts and how they approach awareness?
I think I have, but I can't remember specifically.
Well, you can.
I know they were promoting some concerts last year or something like that.
That's right.
To promote, yeah. Right?
Yeah, I mean they promote a lot of concerts every year. Usually very big names like The Who, Small Faces, people like that. They have some incredible ads, some really outstanding ads. They have radio slots. They have a very good newsletter that goes out on a regular basis that you can sign up to. They do a lot of athletic fundraising, in other words, marathons and stuff like that. So most of the major marathons and races around the UK, they will encourage people to raise money for them by running those races. I mean, overall, they do a great job, and I would recommend everybody take a look at their website. It's I think it's prostatecanceruk.org, if I remember correctly. But it's really worth watching. It's really worth looking at, and also watching some of their old ads. They're terrific. So yeah, that's that's on my agenda, and I'll also have dinner with the founder, who's my buddy John Waxman, who's a GU medical oncologist over here. So that's all the news that's fit to print from these shores. Oh, the weather's been good. There you go. There's some more news for you. That makes headlines. And of course, the whole country's up in arms over the terrorist incident in Manchester last night, which I'm sure has gotten lots of coverage in the US too.
Yes.
But you can't avoid that here. So you'll have to. I have to apologize. There's normally when we run out of things to say, I have all kinds of articles and stuff floating around my desk and at my hands. But being several thousand miles away from home, I don't have any of that with me today, so I can't follow up on a lot of the things that we're talking about here. Is there anything else anybody would like to raise?
Yeah, we're not having a meeting next week, right? That's the 5th month. Nothing's going on there, right?
We're not having a meeting because we couldn't find anybody to do a plenary on that date. Now, if somebody like Larry Fish, for example, would like to find someone to present on insurance, we could certainly do that next Monday night. I'm just being opportunistic.
Yeah, I have no idea how I'd go about it. The one thing I could do is
Yeah.
call H&A, Department of Health and Human Services, and see what they might suggest and see if they would say anything. I mean, I could make a phone call. I could also call,
Yeah.
but that was New York State specific. The person that I saw
Yeah.
was a facilitated enroller of some kind. It was part of a small upstate initiative. But I would call H&H. I mean, see if they say anything. I don't know. I could, when I see my consultant at Sloan, I could bring it up, but I don't know that she would get involved in that. That's as far as sort of not expert on any of this at all.
You know, one of the problems.
Larry, your comment reminded me of. I have a phone call that I'm going to make as soon as we finish this to my congresswoman's, my local congresswoman's representative here, because I wrote my congresswoman about 3 weeks ago after a town hall about how come within the Department of Health and Human Services there's no office of men's health. There's been an office of women's health for years and years and years, funded by the federal government, but they tried establishing an office of men's health back in 2002 and it went nowhere. And you'd think that with a Congress that's mostly made up of males, both in the Senate and the House, that you'd think that would be a no-brainer, but it hasn't flown yet. It just dies. So I'm trying to see if she'll support us and we can gain some traction and get something going on the federal level here.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't know what I'm wondering about, but I'm wondering.
More power. I would say more power to you, Peter, because that would be great if you could do that. I mean, you know, there are several people that have tried to do this and have never been able to get too much traction. And I absolutely agree with you. I would be fascinated to know of the 630 odd Congress people, how many of the men in that group have prostate cancer or have had prostate cancer. I bet it's fairly sizable.
I bet you too.
And why we can't get the traction. I mean, these are the sorts of issues that where PCUK has had tremendous success and we flounder. You know, they raise $20 million or more a year for prostate cancer, and we mess around with upkins. It's upsetting, but more power to you, and keep us posted as to what we can do. I mean, I do think that if the congressperson from Hawaii thought that there was any way to get some traction and required us to call all of our Congress people, we could possibly start to move the ball, to pick up some inertia there around the country.
Yeah, I'll keep on her and see what she comes up with, whether she's willing to go to bat for us.
What I did want to say to Larry is that you raise a really good point, Larry, that the insurance is, because it's state-based rather than federally based, it's going to be very hard to find somebody who can really explain the ins and outs of the insurance, because each state is going to have different plans. But I think they could explain the difference between the different parts and the supplemental parts within each part.
Yes.
Okay. But, anybody, I mean, if there's anybody on the call who wants to try and reach out to find somebody who can present on insurance, it would be great. We'd love it. And, I mean, there is a guy where I was living in Marin who is pretty good and knows this stuff. But again, it's going to be very much California based. So, all right. Well, look, I'm not going to draw this thing out. If we don't have anything more to say, I think we could finish early for once. What? Oh, wait a minute. Ken Anderson has just arrived, which means we should probably talk to him and see how he's doing. Mr. Anderson, can you hear us yet? I don't see his green light. There he is.
1 second, please. 1 second.
Okay,
Hey, Richard,
we'll give you more than 1 second.
All right, just finished up. So, yeah, I'm running late. Sorry.
That's okay. The fact that you're running anywhere is very good news, Ken. I just want to tell you. Tell us how. What's that?
I said I don't disagree.
Tell us how you're doing. Tell us what the heck is going on. How many chemos have you been through? Are you still upright?
Yeah, I'm still upright. I've had the 3rd round of chemo was this last Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, it's not something I look forward to and or enjoy, but I'm doing it. So I must admit, so far it's been fairly uneventful, which I'm thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely notice I'm tired, but in general, it's not been too bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have an appointment scheduled for the 12th to see Korn and some associate of his called Chaplin, who's apparently running that trial on someone such as myself having their prostate removed after chemo.
All right. Uh-huh.
So he wants to sit down and meet with him after they do the bone scans and CT scans.
Okay. Okay. There's, I keep hearing about these different institutions who are debulking, whether they're doing it by radiation or surgery. I would give it some very careful consideration because it's not going to be an easy process.
No, I know. I've been reading about all that one goes through to have it removed.
Mm.
I don't know if there's going to be benefit. So I don't know.
Neither do they. That's why they're doing the trial. I mean, I'm not being facetious. I mean, this is...
They're experimenting a little.
Well, that's right. And the question, and they need guinea pigs. What's your PSA been doing?
Well, the first chemo, which was 9 weeks ago, I guess, was 5.4 or 4.5. I guess I'll look it up, but it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, which was on the 1st, it was 1.1, and I'm sure, I'm anticipating, they just pulled my blood and did blood work yesterday, so I'm anticipating it to be down lower than 1.1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have it for a couple days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
And where are you getting these? Where are you getting your infusions, Ken?
At Arizona Oncology. I never did hook up with that Michael Petroglyph guys. I hooked up with them, but there was an insurance hiccup. How Blue Cross Blue Shield charged him and how he got paid, or I don't know. The whole insurance thing is a bag of junk.
Well,
it is what it is.
We've spent a lot of time talking about insurance on this call, so we won't reopen it. But we've probably spent a good half hour talking about insurance on this call tonight. So your comments are.
I'll go back and listen to it because it is what it is. I just got to deal with it however it comes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we've been talking about is Medicare related. So, I mean, although, as I've mentioned to you before, it's probably worth your while applying for SSDI.
I already did. When you
Oh, you
mentioned it
did.
before, I made my application.
Good,
Just
good,
so I had it under my belt.
good. Well, the reason is also because it starts ticking off the time for you to be eligible for Medicare. You don't have to take the benefits if you don't want, but you would become eligible for Medicare, and that may help you a great deal a couple of years from now.
No, I understand.
So I
That's
think,
why.
yeah.
I don't know. What kind of questions should I ask Corn when I go see him again? You know, I pretty much know his position on most everything he's doing. I mean, all he's going to do is he's going to look. I sent him my blood work and told him what my PSA was at the beginning of the month. And the girl that I'm seeing for the chemo gave me a shot of Zytiga and another patch of Neulasta. So I guess that helped along and help with my appointment.
Ken, you're cutting in and out on us. So I heard you mention something about Neulasta, but I lost what that was.
Yeah, I've had 2 treatments. Each time I get chemo, she puts a little patch on my arm, this Neulasta patch.
Right.
And it injects 24 hours later. So I've had my second one on Monday.
Right.
And Monday also I got a shot of Zytiga.
Right.
Yeah, for bones or bone health or something.
That's right.
Was not cheap, but anyway.
Well,
it is what it is.
Is the insurance? Oh no, because you have a very high deductible on your insurance, don't you?
I do, yep.
I mean,
I have insurance in general. It is high deductible.
Yeah, well, the Zometa is going to be less expensive than the Xgeva. It does much the same thing. So if you want to talk to them about alternatives, you should discuss Zometa rather than Xgeva.
Okay, I'll do that.
It's
I should be getting close to my max.
Okay.
You know, max out here until November.
Right.
And insurance is going to pick up 100%. So I think at this point it's kind of a moot point until November 1st or November 11th of my insurance cycle.
Okay. Anybody want to talk to Ken about anything that he said? Okay.
What should I expect after the 3rd or 4th round? The 4th round is coming up, I think, on the 12th.
Right.
No, the 12th I go to MD Anderson's. It'll be the next Friday, which is like the 16th.
Right. I'm looking if I don't know that we have anybody that's done, still on the call, that's done chemo. Eric was on earlier on. I don't think we have any other chemo people on tonight, Ken, I'm afraid.
That's all right. I'm sure it is what it is.
I mean, I can tell you from my own experience of just talking to guys that it does tend to be cumulative. So when you go through 6, the first 2 are relatively straight sailing, simple sailing. And then the last ones are probably 3, 4, and 5, and each one getting progressively worse. And then they seem to do better after the 5th one, a lot of people. And the 6th one seems to be easier. It's almost like by that time your body's getting you used to it. How are your nails and your hair?
Hair is like 80% gone.
Mm-hmm.
Fingernails are fine so far.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So. Your hair's going to come back thicker than ever. I mean, my buddy Nigel, who had a heavy, thick head of hair and lost it all, I saw him about 2 weeks ago, and his hair is thicker than it was before.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about hair.
Okay, well.
I'm mostly worried about where am I going and what am I going to do next.
Right.
I mean, Paul is pretty keen on this, taking the prostate out.
I think he'd,
Tough decision.
well, I think he'd have to make a pretty good case as to why he wants to take it out, rather than, if it were me, I would be saying, and this is what you should focus on him, why not just do some sort of SBRT, some sort of stereotactic body radiation, whether it's CyberKnife or whatever it is, something similar to that. That's what, for example, Steve Bornstein did. And it's a lot less invasive. Anyone else want to say something on surgery after chemo?
Go ahead.
This is Jake. I just wanted to make a comment, Ken. If you decide you want to go to Zometa instead of Xgeva, I know you said it's not too much of an issue now, but there is a generic version of it, so it should be even cheaper because it is generic now. It's been out for so long. So.
I got you. What is it actually? It's a bone strengthening something, correct?
Right.
Yeah, it's called a bisphosphonate. And it helps it rebuilds the bone that's destroyed by the cancer and by the ADT, I believe.
Okay.
It helps with the remodeling of your bones.
Right. So the Zometa is a bisphosphonate. The Xgeva does the same thing, but it's not a bisphosphonate. It's an antibody, and I don't know exactly how it works, but it is it's considered to be a slightly better alternative than Zometa. But
that's true, it is. And the other advantage is one's a shot and one's an infusion.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big difference. If you don't want to sit there for 45 minutes with a Zometa, it's a one and done shot.
Yeah,
Xgeva is a one and done shot.
Yeah, as long as my insurance, I think I've maxed my insurance out or dang close. So as long as they start picking it up 100%, I don't really care what they do. I prefer to take the better of the choices as far as the better product.
Right.
So maybe that's the whatever it's called, Xgeva, I guess.
Yeah,
the big question is remove my prostate or
Ken,
no.
are you getting any kind of Ken, are you getting any kind of neuropathy from the chemo?
Surprisingly, no.
Good.
I'm not feeling. It's pretty normal. My feet, my hands are. The only thing that's going on is, of course, losing my hair. And I'm definitely more tired, but I don't know if that's Lupron or if it's chemo or both. Towards the end of the day, I'm pretty beat.
How about nausea and appetite, Ken?
I hate to say, but I eat like a horse.
Good for you. It's great.
Hungry and I had one day, like 4 days after the second chemo round, where I felt like I had the flu that day, and I went for a hike late in the afternoon, and by the time I finished my hike, I thought I was going to have to puke that afternoon, but I didn't, and I felt better after I was done. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to do the same thing this time, but I'm going to try to limit that, because it was a 4.5 mile hike. I'm not going to go that far.
Well, but to come back to how to address the prostate, this whole issue of whether to debulk the prostate or not has been around for some time, but it's picked up some steam. There was a trial at Memorial Sloan Kettering that announced results about a month ago, and I think in those, and you should ask them about that trial. Ask Korn about the Memorial Sloan Kettering trial. If I remember correctly, it didn't show, at least to date, it hasn't shown any significant advantage. What's that?
Just back. I think the week of the first week in June is that ASCO meeting for all the oncologists in Chicago, and he comes back Thursday or Friday, so he should have new information. I don't know. I'm hoping they have information on different immunotherapies, but it doesn't seem like they do for prostate cancer.
Well, I haven't heard anything new, and this stuff. There's usually a buzz around if anything big is out, and I haven't heard that there's any significant new news about that. But what they do hear about and they do read about are these sort of little itty bitty trials, like the one that Sloan Kettering's doing on debulking the primary. But I'm pretty sure I read something about that about a month, 2 months ago, and because I remember when they were looking for people to do it a couple of years back, and to date it hasn't shown any significance. But the problem is that you have to wait several years with most of these trials to see if there's an impact. You're not going to determine if there's an impact after a year or so. It just isn't long enough. But I would definitely ask Paul Korn when you see him about the Memorial Sloan Kettering trial. Mayo has, for years, debulked the primary, even with men that have metastasized cancer. And then there are other organizations around that are now willing to radiate the prostate and the prostate bed for men with metastasized cancer. So what's going on there is not unusual. You just have to make sure that there's validity in your case, and they've got to be able to sell it to you as having some benefit, because we all know that a radical prostatectomy has a lot of disadvantages and side effects.
No, I've been reading because it's a tough decision for sure, and lots of people, it's being discussed quite a bit on the Inspire network right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't do it. Most people do it. Most people do it though, but they don't have, a Gleason 9 or bone metastasis. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. So you're saying what's being discussed is surgery or not surgery? Yeah, I mean that's always being discussed on the Inspire network. But is anybody else discussing this in the context of bone metastasis?
No, they're not. So
anybody want to say anything in the context of bone metastasis? Okay.
Guess not. We're
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are probably getting close to wrapping up anyway. I just came in late, but I'll listen to the first part on. Well, you said it was about Medicare mostly, anyways. So I don't really need to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get this posted sometime tomorrow, I hope. That's my plan anyway. So, because for me, it is bedtime.
No, I understand. You're still traveling, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, Ken, I'm really pleased that that you're managing, and I'm hoping to hear that your PSA has continued to respond, which would be great.
I should know tomorrow.
When are they going to scan you? Once the chemo is finished?
No, they're going to actually, that's why I'm going to MD Anderson on the 12th. They're scan me at MD Anderson, both the bone scan and the CT scan, I believe.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly, again, I don't know what they're hoping to find. Maybe that it's shrunk? I don't know.
I think so. I mean, I would think they'll be looking to see how effective the chemo has been. That's right. What I would suspect.
Just see, my PSA was dropping like a brick on Lupron on its own, so I don't know that the chemo is doing anything or not. Well, I guess the only way to tell is when they do the scan. Because I understand about 50% of the people, chemo really doesn't do anything. Is that a true statement?
I've not heard that before, but where was that? Where does that come from? Do you know?
I do, because I made a note on my I'm keeping a journal on my phone, and every time I take one of those comments, I make a footnote on who said it. And it was one of the either Massachusetts General or one of these doctors that work at one of those bigger places. I'll tell you in 1 second. I can find it quickly. There's this guy, and I don't know if it's old news or not, at Harvard Medical School, Dr. Motam Media. He's trying to figure out something about prostate cancer cell dormancy. It turns out after a while, Docimab is the Agiva brand. I think it's from Amgen.
Denosumab, yep.
PSA went from 5.4 3 weeks ago on my first round to 1.1 3 weeks ago. I don't know what it is this week. It should be lower. And raw garlic, PET scan. I don't know if I'm going to find it quickly.
All right, don't worry. I just haven't heard that before. Has anybody else heard that chemo is only effective for 50% of the people? Okay.
I can't say I've heard that.
Well, that's a good thing. Maybe it's not true. Because 50-50 is like going to, I don't like 50-50 odds. Not from what I'm going through. I can't find it real quick, but.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Is that just for prostate cancer or for all cancers?
You know, as a comment, I was doing research on prostate cancer, so I think it was from one of the large hospitals for people in their doing chemo for prostate cancer, that this Taxotere is not effective on half of the people that get it. But I'm looking right now for who.
But then you got to take into consideration. You got to take into consideration, Ken, that up until very recently, chemo was considered the last option for a lot of guys. So a lot of guys, you know, kind of went through everything. And then when everything was exhausted and they were kind of untreatable, then the doctors went to chemo. But now they're changing their strategy. So people like you that are younger, recently diagnosed, are going through chemo much earlier. So I'm not sure whether the statistics out of the past are really relevant.
That makes sense. It does. Because I got to tell you, there's a lot of people that I've read about that are just like me that are doing chemo since 2014. It's right up front. You know, they'll do Lupron or that ADT plus chemo, and I'd say a majority of the people are doing just this since 2014. Some study, that Charter study or something.
Right. Right.
All around the both East and West Coast, everyone's doing the same thing. But I think it has to do with they all go to the same, that ASCO or whatever it's called. There are all those meetings and they talk about or learn about it. It's a small network, I know. The people that are in it, prostate cancer, they stay pretty on top of, at least most of the big institutions do. I don't know about the small ones. You know, I think there's a lot of doctors that are just flying by the seat of their pants.
I do agree with you. I think that those in the centers of excellence stay on top of it, and a lot of the other doctors just don't. Not all of them, but a lot of them don't.
Yeah, they're doing the same stuff for 20 years, and they don't pay attention.
Quite right. Absolutely right.
I don't know where that was, but anyway, you should go to bed. You look like it's time for bed.
It is time for bed. All right, guys. That's it. We're done for the night. Or I'm done for the night. They're not done for the night in Hawaii, that's for sure.
No, just
we're only warming up, right? We're only warming up. That's I know what's going on there. All right. Well, listen, guys.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah.
Ken, I have a really good friend who's a great prostate cancer advocate who's just moved to Arizona. I think he's down south of Tucson someplace.
Oh, I don't think he's living there yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, I will say that if anybody wants to go down and unpack a few boxes before I get back there, it would be much appreciated.
Right.
Although Peter, I did sell my old black Jag to Eric, and I have a white one, so that's a good start.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, if I take the high road and if I take I-10 and come back through I-10, I'll call you, Ken, and we can have dinner before I make the final push to Tubac.
Okie doke. That's not a bad spot, Tubac.
What's that?
I said that's not a bad spot, Tubac.
I know. Yeah, you probably know more about Tubac than I know about Tubac.
But it's not San Francisco for sure.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, true. Anyway.
All right.
Well, have a good evening.
Thanks. All right, guys. Good night to
Okay.
everybody.
All right.